Hello fellow sim racers, this is Sim Racer, and in episode 21 I'm going to do something maybe a little bit different with the current release of the Reiza Pack, and that is that I'm going to take all 6 vehicles that are in the pack and I'm going to do a race at various tracks that are also included in the pack. So we're going to do 6 races and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So the first race is at the, and I'm only going to try this one time, Autodromo Gaupore. That's probably not how you pronounce it, but I gave it a shot. And our first vehicle is the Howston Group of 4. And boy, the car looks and drives very similar to a classic 917 or to the Ford Mark IV. Not as stable as the Mark IV. This vehicle is really tail happy. It really likes to be slid around, and it's a 4-speed like the Mark IV. I just don't think it's as stable as the Mark IV. But it is a hoot to drive, and it reminds me a great deal of the Porsche 917, and certainly its appearance. Oh, and we get a competitor that gets it wide coming out of that turn, and that's pretty easy to do in that particular corner. I did multiple races here at this track in this vehicle, and I spent a lot of time going off the track in that particular corner. So we have 26 competitors. I'm competitor number 26. My usual tactic, because I enjoy starting in the back and seeing how many positions I can advance. So this race is right at, a little love tap there. No harm, no foul, as we're in close quarters. One thing that I'm gonna start off with right off the bat is in rfactor 2, the AI is really enjoyable to race against. I think it's a very, very good AI, and I also looked for a setting that would be at my level, and then slightly above to afford a bit of a challenge. And like ours, that's what we're doing. And the thing about the AI in rfactor is you might pass, get an overtake, but you know what? That doesn't mean you're going to keep your overtake, because they will come right back at you and go right by you if the opportunity so presents itself. So the AI in rfactor, again, I enjoy it. I think it's pretty impressive. Now we're side by side there, and a fellow competitor, and leaning on each other there, going. Yeah, I think this is the big sweeper, the 180-degree turn that leads on. No, it's just a big. Again, it's just a big sweeper, about 180 degrees, as we're working our way through the various turns and chicanes. This track's not a very long track, but it drives nicely, and it's fairly fast. Now, in this particular vehicle, this Group 4 vehicle, the only time that I actually ever get into 4th gear is almost at the end of the straight, and oftentimes I just keep it in 3rd gear, because you're just, for myself, I just barely touch it in 4th gear, and you know, just go ahead and run it in 3rd. So this car's got a lot of torque, a lot of power. I hadn't read the stats on it, so to be honest with you, I'm not really quite sure what it's modeled after, but it sure does look an awful lot like those old vintage Le Mans type Porsches and Ferraris around the 1970, 1971 era. Yeah, so we're going to do 12 laps here, and Oh, and clip the sign there and knock that sign cattywampus. I guess who needs a marker point or a braking point, right? So, what I was going to say is that in this particular group of cars, the AI with 12 laps, this is a 12-lap race, decided that they needed to pit for fuel. And my car, or the car that I was driving, did not need to do that. So it was kind of a situation where if I ran like 6-7 laps, the next thing I knew I was in second and first place because all the AI cars, all the competitors had pit. So what I did in this race, to make it fair, I set the fuel consumption times 2, and that means that I'm going to have to pit, and I will do that around lap 8. So as you can see, we're almost 4.5 laps in, and I'm managed to be already up into 12th position. But because of the upcoming pit, I'm going to, or would need to be in first and way out in front of the field to hold on to that advantage. Now, as far as the Reiza Pack is concerned, and the question is, should you get it? The answer is, in my opinion, absolutely get it. If you have rfactor 2, this pack is well worth the $22 that you're going to pay for it. And if for no other reason, the $22 for the pack might seem a little on the high side. However, when you realize that once you get it, it is such a well done add-on or addition to rfactor that you're going to be racing cars and tracks from this pack for a very, very long time. And the value of this of the Reiza Pack is definitely there, and you're going to simply get the value out of it based on the amount of time that you are going to play the various vehicles that come in the pack and race on the various tracks that come in the pack. So the reason why I picked it up is because the reviews of other sim racers were all very positive, and I have to agree. So I'm jumping on the bandwagon and definitely get the pack. And so again, I thought I'd do something perhaps a little bit different, because I'm not really reviewing the pack so much as just saying it is really, really excellent add-on to rfactor 2. Go ahead and get it. And what we're going to do is, as I said, I'm going to race all 6 vehicles at various tracks. So I've managed to get up into the 10th spot out of 26 at 6.3 laps. And there's something that rfactor does that other sims don't do, and they give you those, they tick off the laps in tenths as you go through your various distances on the track. For example, there we're at 6.5, or we are at the halfway point in lap 6. That's kind of a nice feature, and I actually find myself looking at that quite frequently. And as I try and get down underneath a competitor, track affords a lot of passing opportunity. You can get down inside underneath. You can take the inside line, and if you get stuck and you're forced on the outside line, you can pretty much handle that. There's 2 spots on this particular track that are you can definitely go in way too hot, and that's right here in turn 1. It's pretty, you got to be careful because you can overdrive this turn. And then we'll see if we can find this next turn coming up. I actually spent a lot of time going off track on this particular turn. A couple of off tracks on turn 1 also. Oh, that was a pretty hard hit. don't recommend passing people that way. But and he came back, let me know that he didn't appreciate myself running into the side of him. And once again, you can see how right here, this turn here, I went off to the right, off into the grass, whacked the wall 2 or 3 times in practice races, and until I realized that you gotta drive that, gotta slow down for that turn as we're on to the straight. And now I've, because of other cars, because the AI cars are all taking their turns at pitting, which is really cool. I really like that feature. And boom! That is what you call a hard lick, a hard hit. And I'm sure that when it's iRacing that I'm really looking forward to their new damage model, because you take a hit like that, and with the new damage model, there is so much hope that the new damage model in iRacing will be far more enhanced and accurate. And a hit like that will pretty much take the whole side of the car off. So you can see the little wrench up there and a little green rectangle. And that's telling me that I need to pit. And down in the lower left-hand corner, up pops the sign telling me that my crew is ready for my pit stop. And on comes the gas light, right on cue. So if I had attempted to take another lap, not pit, guess what? I would run out of gas. Now I do have this on manual pit. I found the auto pit to be a little strange. Quite frankly, the auto pit would run into cars on the pit lane. So using a manual pit stop, you're able to avoid that, and it works a lot better. So now we just sit and wait. And if you look down in the lower left-hand corner, you can see that I'm getting tires. Of course, I'm getting fuel, and it tells me that I'm going to be sitting here for 64 seconds. And as I'm sitting here, you can see that through cycling through the pits, that I came into the pits in position 4, and I've now back down to position 10. I've got this on manual start, so it took me a bit to get the engine going and get the RPMs up and get the clutch out, and down we go. 37 mile per hour limit in pit lane. Hammer down and away we go. So in the 64 seconds or 63 seconds that I spent in the pits, I went from position 4 down to position 13, and I've got 2.5 laps to see if I can, how much or I can improve on my finishing position. So this is kind of a beast of a car to drive, but it certainly is fun. And that's why we do it, right? We sim race because it's fun. Great hobby, and if you're anything like me, you probably spend way too many hours racing, doing your sim racing. And we're now in the 9th spot, and that's because a couple of the cars that were we just moved into the 8th spot. A couple of the cars that were the leading cars, they hadn't pit yet, so they had to go into pit, and so their pit cycle advanced myself up into position 8. I think pitting or forcing yourself to pit is a great enhancement, great experience, adds to the strategy of the race. And with the Reiza Pack, it's my opinion that the graphics have improved. Of course, nothing to the level of a set of Corsa or Project Cars 2, but I have to agree with just about everybody who has rfactor 2 and races rfactor 2 that the physics are just really, really good. Force feedback is good. You just the car feels good, and so the graphics are certainly acceptable. And I think that any sim racer will gladly trade a bit of graphics if they can have a higher level of accuracy or a higher level of realism as far as the physics, the actual physics of driving the car is concerned. So I've moved up into the 8th spot. I've got 3 in front of me. Oh, and I'm gonna do a dive bomb. Oh, hang on to it. That was a, oh, and then I get banged again. So you can have a lot of contact, but you can kind of anticipate it and use it. And this one's over. So there you go. I finished 6th out of 26. It was a fun race. And so there you are. There's my first vehicle in the Reiza Pack, the Howston Group 4. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, have fun with your sim racing. Until next time, this is Sim Racer.